And Bezoshem tomorrow. I'm gonna start learning at 7:30 on Zoom. I'm traveling. I won't. I'll be in Crown Heights. So start 7:30, and then on Yom Tov we won't have a shiur, and we'll continue after that. I'll be away also for 3 days after Yom Tov on Zoom, 7:30. I think we'll continue on Zoom 7:30, so we're able to do on person 7:30. Okay. Let's see where we're holding. We're on Yud Chesamid Beis Amar Rav Papi Mishmei Derava. This is 4, 8, 9. Maybe it's about 10 lines from the bottom. 9 lines from the bottom. Amar Rav Papi Mishmei Derava on 18b. Thank Hashem that they're able to learn Torah every day. It's supposed to start learning. We should have Beis Hamikdash immediately. So it says like this. Rav Papi says in the name of Rabba Paga B'chiti Treifa. Now, Doctor, you'll have to help me out. But apparently, there's two little pieces on the neck, which the Gemara calls wheat kernels. And I wrote down in my Gemara from last cycle that it's arytenoid cartilage. Does that make sense?
I can't pronounce it.
Okay, this is part of the neck. It's. I think it's above the. It's above the large ring. It's above what's called the tabas gedola. And so Rav Papi says in the name of Rava that if the shchita knife reaches these two little beads that are on the top of the neck, then it's a treifa. Iboilu. Gemara has a question. What does Rav Papi mean and what does Rava mean? Paga v'naga b'hem d'ksev yifka b'yamis. Does it mean that he actually cuts into it? And that's when it's treif, but less than that would be kosher. Dilma paga v'leinaga. Or it doesn't mean that he reached it, but he didn't touch it, and it's still treifa, like a chumrah. Even if he doesn't touch it, he just gets right up to it, that's already treif. We quote a source, what vayifka means. We have a source that vayifka means that he touches it, vayifka means that he reaches it, doesn't touch it. There's an expression, like paga v'leinaga. Yeah, like paga v'leinaga means like
odd below odd.
No, like paga v'leinaga means like nothing like it happened. Like there was nothing, whatever it was had no effect. That's like paga v'leinaga. Anyway, here the question is.
It's basic. I think it's the vocal cords. So it's showing you.
So what I'm looking at the yellow things is the chiti?
The two like triangle. No, this is the inside of the Adam's apple, or the big thing cut out.
What's the chiti?
Is these things the vocal cords?
The vocal cords.
So.
He thinks it's the vocal cords. I thought there were two little things that were hanging on the side.
They do. They come in from the side.
Uh-huh.
Believe me, unfortunately, I've had so many pictures of.
Uh-huh. Okay. So
that's what. By the way, that's when if a person ever goes for an ENT exam and they put the scope down, they go say say ee because vocal cords are moving different direction, and they see if they're moving properly.
Oh well. Interesting. Itmar was stated by Amarav Papa Mishmei Derava. Shiur b'chiti ksheira. That if there's anything left of the chiti, it's kosher. That means paga v'naga. It's actually paga v'naga is still kosher. This would be arguing on Rav Papi. Right? This would be arguing on Rav Papi because Rav Papi said paga b'chiti is treifa. We had a question if it's treifa even before it's naga or only after it's naga. And here it's for sure naga, and it's kosher. Amar Rav, that's really Rav. We take out the Rav. Amar Meimar bar Mar Yenuka. Meimar, the son of Mar Yenuka.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Clarification. The vocal cords are attached to these chiti. So that's what it's the same location, but that's how it moves the vocal cords. These things.
Okay. So Rav Ameimar Bar Mar Yenuka, I think was a son of Rav Chisda. He says, he said the same thing, like Rav Papa says the name of Rava. Okay. Amali Ravina le Ravashi, Amali Rav Shaman Misubra. Ravina says to Ravashi that Rav Shaman Misubra, sounds like that restaurant. Remember those restaurants, Subra? It was on yeah, but it was spelled S-U-B. Now the Israeli owner said that he wanted to make something that sounded like Subway. So the way he pronounced Subway was Subway. That's the Israeli pronunciation. So he wrote Sabra, but he spelled it with the S-U. That's how you pronounce Subway. Anyway, so Sabra. Anyway, so Rav Shaman Misubra, Ikla, he said to Ravina that Ikla Marzucha Lasran, Marzucha came to our place, B'darash, and he said, Shir B'chiti Kshera. Okay, which is exactly what Rav Papa says, what Meimar says. Okay. Mar Baravashi Amar, Mar Baravashi says 1 second. Paga B'chiti is Kshera. If you reach it, this is a Paga V'leinaga. You reach it, but you don't touch it. That's going to be kosher, right? However, Shir B'chiti, that's already treifa, going back to possibly what Rav Papi held, that if you went into the chiti, then it's already treifa. And we take the lenient opinion that once we reach anything that's under the shipui kaiva, which is the helmet that goes over the larynx, is that the word?
Yeah.
So then, and below, anything that's below that incline, where it comes over, that's going to be kshera. Baina the shir b'chiti, and that would be, we are, according to the opinion that shir b'chiti is kosher. Because if you leave anything over from the chiti, you don't go out of the chiti, past the chiti, then it's kosher. Who held that? That was originally told to us by Rav Papa Mishmei Rava. Rav Nachman Achsher, we're on top of Yates. Yates Amud Aleph. Rav Nachman Achsher Mishipa Kevel Amat. Rav Nachman said that it's kosher even if you're above the Tabas Agdela, the big ring, which is the Adam's apple. Even if you're above that, it's still kosher, as long as you don't go past the Shipui Kaiva, where that helmet inclines. Amalei Rav Chanan bar Rav Katina le Rav Nachman. Come on, he says, who are you paskening like? Like Rabbanan, like Rabbi Yosi, like Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. You're not going like Rabbanan or like Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. No, we had a machlekes earlier. If higrim, that means you started in the Tabasa G'dayla and then you went out of it, right? But you shechted roiv and then you went out. That's considered a good shchita. Where the Rabbanan said that it's not a good shchita because you need kula in the right place, and Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda said that it is kosher if it's higrim, if you did roiv in the right place, and then you. I'm sorry. Are you asking something?
No.
Okay. So if you did roiv, so it's a machlekes, and all of this is at a lower area on the neck than Rav Nachman saying is kosher. So there's a machlekes Rabbi Yisrael at a much lower point. And Rav Nachman says, "Oh, what about that machlekes? According to him, that would be nothing. Of course, it's kosher over there. That whole area is kosher." So he's asking to Rav Nachman, you're not passing like the Rabbanan or like Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbanan are for sure machmer, and Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda is also machmer. Amalei, so Rav Nachman responds, "Anal lechilek yedana v'lebilek yedana." I don't know chilek or bilek. Anosh Maitzi Yedana. Now, chilik and bilik, there's two pshatim over here. One is, chilik means that if it's divided in half, and bilik would mean that hagrama. That's one pshat. Bilik means to disturb it. Chilik means to divide it, and bilik would mean to mess it up, to split it. Now that's one pshat. The other pshat is that Chiluk and Biluk are just random names. It's like Tom, Dick, and Harry. There's random names. He says, I don't know any Tom, Dick, and Harry. I don't know anything about all those things that you're quoting to me. All I know is that Shmaitzi Yadan, I know this statement. It's going back to these first generation Amirayim, these early Amirayim. It says Mishipa Keva Lamatik Sheira, that anything under the helmet is kosher, which means that there's a three-way machlekes here. There's a machlekes Rabbi Yaisi bar Rabbi Yehuda, who says that Hagrama, that if it goes, majority is in the kaiva, is in the tabasa g'dayla, in the large ring of the neck. Majority is there. It's okay if a minority is out. There's the opinion of the Rabbanan that says that it needs to be entirely through in order to be kosher. And then there's the opinion of Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes, who held that even if it's above it, it's also kosher. And he's following the opinion of Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes. Amr Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Magremes de Rabbanan, when the Rabbanans called it Hagrama, that says that was if you cut the majority of the tabasa gedayla, but then as you came to the end of it, you slipped the knife outward above the tabasa gedayla, so they hold that's a problem. However, Ksheira Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, that would still be kosher according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that that's not a problem because he cut the majority. According to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, the rest of the cutting of the shechita is just like cutting meat. The shechita was already kosher before. It doesn't matter if the end of it comes out. That's nothing. You already kosher shechita. The Reisi Rabbi Yehuda, what's considered a grama to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, if you actually did the majority out of the tabasa g'dayla above it, then which they hold is Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda holds as puzzle. So Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes would still say that's kosher. Gemara says pshita, of course. What are you telling me? It's a machlekes. You're telling me that this one would say kosher when the other one says puzzle. No, I'm explaining to you pshat in Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes, because I could have learned that Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes was just saying that if you cut the majority inside and then you went out, he's saying that it's kosher, which would mean that Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes held like Rabbi Yehuda. He's only arguing on the Rabbanan. Kamash Malan is coming to tell me, not only is he arguing on the Rabbanan, he's even arguing on Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, where Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda would say it's possible. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes takes it a step further to say that it's kosher. When would Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda say possible? If you did the majority of it outside the tabasa g'dayla, above it, Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes would still allow that. Maybe Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes is actually arguing on the Rabbanan, and he's agreeing with Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, but he's not more lenient than Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. The Gemara says, If you look back on Yud Chesamid Beis, 3 lines from the top, the Brisa quoted, the Gemara quotes this Brisa, it says, Mugremes psula. And if you go out of the location, it's puzzle. Who holds that? The Rabbanan. Okay. Comes along, the Brisa continues,
right.
And it
that's
says,
the same thing with Yotzei by Pentakuna, because it went out to where it belongs. And by Shudda, it's a recurrent thing. Stick where you belong.
It says that Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes testifies about Magremes that it's kosher. Now, really, Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes only needed to say Hayid Aleha. We started off saying Magremes, which means Hagrama, Psula. Hayid Aleha Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes. Rabbi Chanina testifies about it that it's kosher. He doesn't do that. He says Hayid Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes al Magremes. He goes back and repeats the whole introduction. That Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes testifies about Magremes. You don't have to repeat it about Magremes. You're talking about Magremes. You're allowed to say, use a pronoun and say about it, right? But it doesn't do that. The explanation here is that the reason why it doesn't do it is because it's saying another opinion. The first opinion was the Rabbanan Magremes is puzzle. Rabbi Chanina ben Antignes testifies about Magremes. Which Magremes? The Magremes that Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda would say is puzzle, which is a step further than what we said before. He says that that's kosher, which means that there's 3 levels here. That's How do I know? The Gemara is asking, how do I know that there's 3 levels? Maybe there's only 2 levels. Maybe there's the Rabbanon's Megremes and Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda, which is the same as Rabbi Chanina ben Tignas. It says no. Since Rabbi Chanina ben Tignas repeats the introduction, that means he's taking it a step further than another opinion that we didn't mention, which is the opinion of Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. Okay. The Hilchas, the Gemara concludes to Rabbi Chanina ben Tignas. I think a lot of commentators like to say, I don't know if it's specifically over here, when the Gemara says V'Hilchasa, it's an addition from the Ga'inim. Usually the Gemara doesn't ask him. It's the Ga'inim that stepped in. And V'Hilchasa Rabbi Chanina ben Tignas, the Koi Rav Nachman Kabasei, the halacha will be like Rabbi Chanina ben Tignas because Rav Nachman holds like him. Yeah. Usually Rav Nachman would get the halacha when it comes to dinim mamanas. Lav dafka by ritual law, Yisurim, would the halacha be like Rav Nachman? But here it seems that that's a given, that the halacha is like Rav Nachman. So therefore the halacha is going to be like Rav Chanina ben Tignas. Okay. Chaim, if you ever write a book on Rav Nachman, you have to quote this Gemara. Amar Ravasi. Ravuna says in the name of Ravasi. Machlekes. You have to follow this Gemara. It could be a drop confusing. Machlekes b'sheshachat shnei shlishim. Behigrim shlish. Machlekes between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is lenient. He says if you check the majority, kosher, and then the knife slips out of the right location, right? That it's still going to be kosher because you did the majority. The Rabbanan would say that's puzzle. When does that machlekes apply? When did they argue about that? That's if you started correctly. 2/3 you did correctly. 2/3 is a way of it saying that you got over 51%. And then you went out. The last third was incorrect. Rabbanan sabri kula shchita bina betabas kadela. Rabbanan say nope, no good. You need the entire shchita in the right location, which is the top ring, the tabas kadela. I guess the Adam's apple. Rabbi Yehuda savar rubai kekula. Rabbi Yehuda says raiv is good enough. What happens after you shecht raiv? After you shecht raiv, then you're already kosher shchita. The rest is just cutting meat. Cutting meat. Okay, so doesn't have to be in the right location. Aval, but let's say it was the opposite. Higrim shlish. You started off in the wrong location, and that 1/3 was in the wrong location. Then you slid back into the right location. You corrected it. You swerved back into lane. Shlish, and then you shech 2/3. Everyone say that's possible. The logic over here is that when you have the life of the animal that's leaving, which is when the majority is shechted, and over here the majority is shechted when it gets in the right location. The only thing is the point of the majority is hit at the right location. The only thing is, but when you hit that right location, the 51% mark, you don't have the majority of the neck shechted properly. Because 1/3 of that was in the wrong place. So you hit the right spot in the correct location, but when you look back and you say, okay, did I do this correctly? Majority of it wasn't good. Beleka, and you don't have that. So therefore, that's why everyone would agree that it would be invalid. Amar Rav Chisda says to Rav Huna, says, maybe it's exactly the opposite. Right? Maybe it's the opposite. Why don't you say it exactly the other way? Punkt fakert. Machlekes kishehigrim shlish, shachet shnei shlish. Maybe the machlekes is the opposite, where you started off in the wrong location and you shechted, you swerve back into lane after 1/3. You come back. The Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Savar midid avichatzi kanapagam. We have a rule like this. Now, let's say there was a defect on the neck where it was already split a little bit. Not a majority, but a little bit. What do they call it when they take out when someone's breathing? They make a hole in his neck so he could breathe. Trachea, something.
You mean the emergency?
Yeah,
isn't that like a puncture?
They make a puncture.
No,
There's a word for it.
Tracheotomy.
Tracheotomy.
Tracheotomy. Is that it? Tracheotomy?
That's what we do medically.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, so let's say someone has a hole in the neck already. So not someone, some animal. We're talking about an animal here. An animal has a hole in the neck. Comes along the sheichet and shechs in the hole. Okay? So how much of a shechita does he do? He does a little tiny shechita, because once he gets over the 50% of it being cut, so then it's already a kosher shechita. So Rabbi Yehuda says, look, it was partially cut already because it was cut. It was out of the right location. It was cut. And when you came to shech the last part to make it over the 50% line, so you did it properly. So that's exactly like Chatzi Kana Pagam. That's exactly like there was a hole already there. And you came and you finished it properly. The Rabbanan say, no, it's not a good comparison. Because Hassam, Makam Shchita, over there, when I had Chatzi Kana Pagam, when I had the hole already, that location was the right location for Shchita. And you came and you finished it off, so good. But Hachab over here, in the case where the first half, the Pagam, the defect in the neck was in the wrong place. Lav Makam Shchita, it wasn't in the right place. By the time you got to the 50% mark, or 51%, you look at it and the majority wasn't done correctly.
By the way, the difference in the medical things is that emergency thing, I'm just looking up, is technically called a cricothyroidomy, because it's a different spot from the tracheostomy. And it was made famous by the fiction story of the guy who stuck the pen, which I can't remember the name. So it's not the same spot.
Do the doctors ever advise someone to stick a pen in someone's neck to?
Well, they would take the idea was, when I was they taught, take a big pen, that's what we had, remove the thing, because then you had a rigid tube, and then make a tiny slice and stick the pen in it. I don't think any of us ever wanted to.
It looks like they're killing the guy.
And what they're really doing is making a cut near the outside, but sticking in the tube. It actually saves their lives. It's more movies than.
Okay. It's mamish a shasat chak.
Can save someone's life.
Okay. Hashem should protect us.
The name of the fiction.
So there's a difference over here between the Rabbanan say that there's a difference in the there's a difference between this case and Chatzi Kana Pagam, because over here the Hagrama, the first third that was cut was in the wrong location. Aval, this is all Rav Chisda's question. Aval shachat shnei shlish, v'higrim shlish, divriyakol ksheira.
See the red flashing?
Yeah.
So that's your helmet. Whoops. Sorry. So you saw was in the wrong location. Okay, that's the helmet. That's the trachea. Those things are, well, that's just muscles. But we don't cut there. They were talking about cutting through this totally or doing the chef's hair. So that's what they're showing is the wrong location. Pretty cool.
Who's that?
See the flashing red light.
The flashing red light is the place of
the cricothyroid, but it's not the right, just below the Adam's apple.
So, but if it was cut 2/3 properly and higrim shlish, everyone would say we're discussion that tanan rubish lachet kamayel, because we have a mishnah that says that if you shech the majority, it's kosher. It's as if you shechted the whole thing, so the majority is going to be good. So everyone's going to hold that it's kosher. So Rav Chisda is asking to Rav Huna, why are you saying that the machlekes Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and the Rabbanan is only if you started properly and then you finished it incorrectly? Where Rabbi Yossi says it's still fine, Maybe it's exactly the opposite. Maybe everyone would hold, if you started properly and you finished incorrectly, everyone would hold it's fine, even the Rabbanan. The whole machlekes is if you started improperly, started with the first third was Hikrim, and then you went into the proper location, where Rabbi Yehuda would say that's fine, because Chatzi Kanapagam, if there's a hole already there, and you just finish it off, it's fine. And the Rabbanan say, no, that hole there is fine, that's only if it's in the right location. So, Amalei Rabbi Yosef says back to Rav Chizda, he says, Man leimlan dahu ruba dahasam, lav Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda k'tanila, dilma Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda k'tanila. We quoted a Mishnah that says that if you shech the majority, it's kosher. So therefore, the Rabbanan should hold if you shech the majority, it's kosher. It says maybe that Mishnah is Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda who holds the majority is kosher. But according to the Rabbanan, you have to shech the whole thing. Not that you have to shech the whole thing, but if you do shech the whole thing, it has to all be done properly. Amalei Abaya says to Rabbi Yosef, his teacher, that's saying that maybe that Mishnah is really the opinion of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda that says Rubish Lachad Kamayo. Rubish Lachad Kamayo. I'm just thinking that maybe the Rabbanan really hold, according to Rabbi Yosef, that that a shchita or partial majority by the shchita doesn't work. Not just that majority properly and minority improperly doesn't work, but maybe even if you stop right there after the majority, maybe that also won't work. Maybe that's what Rabbi Yosef is saying. Anyway, Abaya says, "Atakol Rubi Dalma Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda K'tanila." Basically, the way your Abaya says to Rabbi Yosef is every time it says Rav, you say that that's just the opinion of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, but not the Rabbanan. Amalei, Ana Ruba the Shchita coming in, and don't take me out of context. I was referring to when it says the majority by Shchita, that's Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbanan would, and the Rabbanan argue, but the Shemanah the pligi, because of there, I know that there's a machlekes. Other places, and we would say that it doesn't need to be the entire thing. It could be also Rav. Okay. As we know that the Rabbanan don't go bust a Rav by Shchita. So by any case of Shchita where it says Rav is good, we would say that that is the opinion of Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda. Well, Lishnachrina, there's another version to this whole story, where we started off saying that Rav Huna says in the name of Rav Asi that if it's hidden, that if you start off with start off incorrectly, then everyone would agree that it's possible. And then Rav Chizda says maybe the opposite. Maybe that's the case where it's the machlekes. Here we have it exactly the opposite. That you actually started the other way. You started incorrectly. You started with the agrama out of the right location, 1/3. And then you continued you swerved back into lane, and you finished the shchita properly. And when you crossed over the 50%, 51% line, you were in the right location. Rabbi Yosef would say, that's perfect. If it was split before on its own, and you finished it properly, that should be good. Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan would say, no, yeah, I agree with Chatzi Kanapagam, because that pagam, that defect, that hole in the neck, would have been in the right location. But if we had the hole is in the wrong location, it's not going to work. But if you shechted 2/3 properly, and then you just finished off out of lane, even the Rabbanan would agree this kasha. That was the statement of Rav Huna, exactly the opposite of the last Gemara. Maskefla Rav Chizda, and Rav Chizda switches his claim to do the other way. Man leimalanda hu ruba the hasam lav Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda k'tanila. How do you know that when it says that if you shechted roiv, that's going to be acceptable? That's the opinion. How do you know that's the opinion of the Rabbanan? Maybe that's only the opinion of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. Dilma Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda k'tanila. Amalei Rabbi Yosef, and now Rabbi Yosef steps in, which Rabbi Yosef, in the last Gemara, Rabbi Yosef's question was already asked. Now Rabbi Yosef gives the answer. And we drop Abaya. This was Abaya's claim to Rabbi Yosef. Do we say that every Rav is always Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. Amala Naruba the Shchita Kamina. So Rav Chisda responded that I'm talking about Rav by Shchita. The Shamin led the plea because we know that they argue. Okay, so we have two versions of what Rav Huna says and what Rav Chisda says and what Rav Yosef say. Okay, Higrim Shlish, B'Shachat Shlish, V'Higrim Shlish. This is like a drunk driver. He starts off in the wrong location, swerves back into the right location for the middle third, and then goes back out for the last third. So the majority, when you look at the end, is in the wrong location. But when you crossed over the line that makes the shechita acceptable, you were in the right location. It's a great machlekes because it's two ways of looking at this. The majority was wrong. Said, yeah, but the point where the critical point was correct. Rav Huna says the name of Rav that is Kshera. Now you have to, but Rubai was wrong, but the point where it hit the Rav was correct. So Rav Huna Amarav says that it's kosher. Rav Yehuda Amarav says it's treifa. Okay. Now Rav Huna Amarav Kshera. Why does Rav Huna say that it's kosher? He's saying in the name of Rav Kinafka Chiyusa B'Shchita Kanafka. When did the life of the animal leave? At the good point, when it was actually exactly in the right location with shchita. Rav Yehuda Amarav treifa. Rav Yehuda says that it's treifa. Binin Ruva B'Shchita V'Leka. You need to have Roiv done properly, and you don't have the majority done properly. Let's look at it the other way, the opposite case. The opposite case should be exactly the flip of this. Do I need the majority, or do I need that the point of the majority was done correct? Rav Huna said that you don't need the majority, you just need the point. Let's say another drunk driver, but he's not as drunk. He starts properly, just swerves a little bit, and comes back properly. In my sister's car, if you swerve a little bit when you're driving, this coffee cup comes up on the screen. It says, take a break, or take a nap, or something. Anyway, here's this would be, come on for the sheikhet. The sensor on the animal would say, sheikhet, take a nap. Shachat shlish, v'higrim shlish, v'shachat shlish. If you shecht properly, you swerve out of lane at the critical point, and then you come back into lane for the last third. Rav Yehuda Amarav Kshei. Rav Yehuda says it's kosher. Why? Because the majority was done good. Okay. Asu Shailul Rav Huna. They asked Rav Huna. Amalu Treifa says that it's Treifa. Now the truth is that it fits perfectly with what Rav Huna held before, because Rav Huna held that at the critical point it was kosher before, so then it was kosher. Here the critical point is treif, is out of lane, so he would say it's treif. Sham Rav Yehuda, but Rav Yehuda hears about this and he says, he gets angry. Amar drifno machsher machshana taraf. Everything I say is kosher. He says it's treif. Everything I say is treif. He says it's kosher. Amar Rav Huna shaprichamik, but he's right for getting angry. First of all, the statement that he said, that Rav Yehuda said that it was going to be kosher, that's because he heard it from Rav. Rav Huna says, I never heard this from Rav. I was just thinking this on my own. So he has a good point for getting angry. Void, another reason, ikaruba b'shchita. Fact is, the majority of it was shechted properly. It should be kosher. Amalei Rav Chisda says to him, later hadabach, but don't retract. Dimkein mafsadat l'kamaisa. Because your first halacha would be exactly the flip of this halacha. The first halacha was when improperly. And Rav Huna says that would be kosher. Here it's properly, improperly. Rav Huna says it's treif. Now, if he would say that it's kosher, then that would mean that I don't look at the critical point of the shechita, which would mean that he would have to retract from his first teaching, which he did hear from Rav. So Rav Chisda tells Rav Huna, don't retract. Also, my time of kamachsheres. Why did you say before that it was going to be kosher by higrim, shachat v'higrim? That's kinafkas chiyusabech sher kanafka. That's because when the life of the animal left it, when it crossed over the 51% line, so then it was in the right location. Over here, the reason why you said treif was because when the life of the animal left, which is over the 51%, that was in the wrong place. Okay. Ikla Rav Nachman Lasura. Rav Nachman, he chanced upon, he happened to be in Surah. Boy Minei, they asked of him the following: Shachat shlish v'higrim shlish v'shachat shlish. Properly, improperly, properly. Who starts in lane, swerves out of lane, and then goes back in with the knife. Is that kosher or not? So it turns out that Rav Yehuda would say yes, and Rav Huna would say no. Amalahu, Lav Haina de Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi. That's what Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi spoke about. Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi, shchita ha'asuya kamasrik ksheira. If a shchita is made like a masrik, which is a comb, I guess that means like it's not a clear cut. It's kosher.
Excuse me. The reason it said he chanced upon this because he really learned in another yeshiva in the Ardai, and now the same. So it was
this is just traveling. Ikla means he reached. But it's reached by like happens to be. So what's happening here is that Rav Elazar bar Minyumi said that if the shchita is like a wavy shchita, he cuts like this. No, there was like this. There was a knife that they used to cut watermelon, and there's a scissors that they use to cut paper. It goes in and out.
yeah, in and out.
Goes in and out. Yeah. Anyway, if this person shechted like that, so it's kosher. Okay, so over here also, you shecht properly, it swerves out and back, it's kosher. The Gemara says, what? How do you know that that's what Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi was talking about? Dilma b'makam shchita. Maybe Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi was saying it's all in the right location, and the chiddush is in the right location. It's going to be kosher. The Gemara says, 1 second. Why should there be a shaila over there? Makam shchita ma'ala meimra. Of course it's kosher. You shechted properly. It says maybe we need that when the shchita is done, you're able to see the whole cut. But because over here you went in and out like this, it was wavy. It doesn't open it up properly. It looks like it's still closed because the band of the part doesn't actually swear. It doesn't allow it to open up. So Kamash Milan comes along with Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi to tell me that it's kosher. So in other words, we don't have a raya from Rabbi Elazar bar Minyumi that it would be kosher over here if it swerves out of lane. By shachat higrim shachat. Siman bekad. Interesting. Is that Aleph? Where's that going to? Oh, the Rabbi Tzal Ranshberg takes it out. Takes out the Simon. Yosef Rababa Chayid Rav Kana. Rababa sitting behind Rav Kana. Yosef Rav Kana Kamed Rav Yehuda. And Rav Kana sitting in front of Rav Yehuda. Yosef Kamar, and he's sitting and he's saying, Shachat Shlish Vigam Shlish Shachat Shlish Mao. It's interesting that Rav Kahana over here looks like a Talmud of Rav Yehuda. When we know that Rav Kana is a Talmud of Rav, must be the other Rav Kana. There's a later Rav Kana that's a.
Rav Kana Aleph.
There's a later Rav Kana that's right above Rav Ashi. This teacher of Rav Ashi. But this Rav Kana over here.
That's Rav Kana Beis.
But it looks like there's a Rav Kana Beis would be this Rav Kana, and that should really be Rav Kana Gimel.
No, there's an Aleph and a Beis.
I'm putting in another one.
Where?
Right under Rav Yehuda. It was under Rav. Rav Yehuda's under Rav?
Yeah.
I think there's maybe another one. Anyway, let's see. I read in a book that there's actually 6. Okay. Amalei, what happened over here is, he said the following. Shachat shlesh, higrim shlesh, shachat shlesh. Properly, improperly, and back properly. Amalei shchitas kshera. It says that that's kosher. Who said that? That was the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that says that you need the majority. Higrim shlesh, shachat shlesh, higrim shlesh. Maho amalei shchitas psula. Says it's going to be puzzle because you don't have the majority kosher. Shachat b'makam nekav maho. Let's say you shechted in a place where there's already a hole. Amalei shchitas kshera. That's fine. Shachat apaga by nekav maho. what happens if you shech, and in the middle of the shechita, there was a hole towards the end, towards the back of it. So when you come to this place, all of a sudden it's like it's open already. So you didn't actually do a shechita at the end. He says that would be possible.
Would that hole make it a...
No, because only the majority of it being split would be a treifa, and here the majority wasn't. But it was just
no. But if there was a hole in the animal,
treifa. No, only if it's split. This is in the neck. You can have a hole, and it's possible for there to be a hole in the trachea, and the animal could survive with that.
So what about all those cases where we talked about an animal?
Depends where the hole is.
Oh,
yeah.
So not stomach.
No, not stomach hole. Yeah, there's a hole in the neck, like that trachea, whatever. There's a hole there, but there's two possibilities. Either the hole is at the beginning, which we said was kosher, or the hole was later on, and when he comes to that point, it's just open already. He says that's possible. Also, Rabba Amar Kamedi Rabbi Lazar. Rabba goes and says in front of Rabbi Lazar, this is in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Rabbi Lazar. Amar Kamedi Rabbi Yechanan. They go tell this to Rabbi Yechanan. Amalei Maishna. He says, what's the difference? Why is there a difference where the hole is? Amalei Shachat Makam Nekav Nasa Timi Sheshachat Avid Kechavim. V'Gamar Yisrael. If you shechted in the place where there's a hole, so it's like as if a non-Jew started the shechita and a Jew finished it off, which we said was kosher. He passes the knife over and the Jew finished it. It's as if a non-Jew finished it off. The Jew started and the non-Jew finished it off, which was a problem. Everything, you mix everything to Ovid Kechavim. This is what they would tell to you. Ben Pekua, Ben Pekua. Every Gemara you see is about a guy. Rava says, Rava can't speak to them. Rava's in Bavel, there in Eretz Yisrael, slightly earlier than him as well. He has a good point, Rabbi Yechanan, for calling Rabbi Lazar Ovid Kechavim, Ovid Kechavim. Bishlei Mahasam, the Rashi says, it's not that he was calling Rabbi Lazar Ovid Kechavim, he was saying, everything by you is Ovid Kechavim. In that case, when the Jew was shechting, he should have finished it off, but he handed it over to a guy. So at the time that the guy shechts, that's when the animal dies. So it left him, the life of the animal left in the hands of the non-Jew, which was not a good shechita. But over here, mishchat shachit, he's in the middle of shechting, and he's shechting properly. Mali b'makam nekev, mali paga by nekev. What's the difference if the hole was at the beginning or the hole was later on? He was doing a proper shechita. It's not that he messed it up. It sounds like a gzeira derabanan. That when you hand it over to a guy, that's a problem. But over here, you were doing the shechita to your best ability. Turns out there happened to be a hole there. That shouldn't be a problem. Okay, let's leave it over here by the Mishnah. Again, tomorrow we'll learn at 7:30 on Zoom. Yeah, I won't be here in this location now. On Zoom.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, have a great day.
Have a good day. Thanks.